So I think we can go ahead and start. I have the pleasure, again this year, for a different reason, to host Dr. Gustavo Maddonni here on the Department of Agronomy. He's a professor from the University of Buenos Aires. He's also the director for basically the grad school at the University of Buenos Aires in the section of agronomy and agricultural sciences. So as he's saying, the agronomy school of University of Buenos Aires. So for us, it's a real pleasure. He has been the last couple of weeks interacting, discussing with students on projects and ideas. And then we also came before of that from Mexico. We came from Mexico that we were looking at some of these short corn. And there is a lot of questions about short corn. I mean, and then I don't know if you have heard about this, but there is a lot of farmers asking a lot of questions about the difference between the short and the tall. So we are looking at some things, but then Gustavo already has some experience and data from some of the research that he has been conducting in Argentina. So I think that this topic is interesting for many of us. I mean, I'm intrigued because I haven't seen the slides, so I would like to see what's going on in that short versus tall corn. So I think that without any further ado, I mean, I will make sure that Gustavo, when you are ready, it's all yours. Thank you for coming.
Okay. Now, well, thank you very much, Ignacio, for the time that you gave me to show you our first result about the eco-physiological study of short versus tall corn hybrid. I don't know if I'm going to answer all the questions that farmers have for this topic, but well, we are trying to show you what we have found in this agreement between Bayer Argentina and the IFEBA Institute at the Faculty of Agronomy in the University of Buenos Aires. So, what do we know? Here, maize brachytic phenotypes have a mutation in the brachytic 2 gene responsible for housing hormone transport within the plants. So, this hybrid or these phenotypes have a bad transmission from housing from the apex to the tissue action of this hormone. So here you can see where is the mutation. It's a natural mutation that was linked to this allele, and the effects in several works that have analyzed them is a reduction. A reduction of plant heights, but not affecting another traits like time to silking, to pollen shedding, and almost no effect on kernel weight, kernel number, and grain yield. Probably a slight increase in harvest index. This is a recent work performed here in the United States. Well, as this mutation reduces internode elongation, at early stages of the cycle, short plants had a similar height than normal plants, but after internodes start elongation, you can see here that the mutation reduced plant height. So at flowering and onwards, plant height remains shorter in the mutated hybrid or brachytic hybrid, that is called like this. Brachytic hybrid have a shorter height than normal hybrid without mutation. So, for example, here in the work, there is a lot of location where was compared what happened was tag lodging and breaking of plants when some strong storm takes place at different location. Here you can see that the score of average damage of these factors is higher in tall hybrid than in short hybrid. Consequently, when you compare, we compare grain yield, harvestable grain yield when the storm took place is higher in the brachytic hybrid than in the normal hybrid. Obviously, when no effect was obtained, similar grain yield were obtained. So the most is, at this point, the most contrasting result is that harvestable grain yield is higher in the short hybrid than in the taller one because a lower stock lodging and breaking of stems. Well, but what else changed in a brachytic hybrid? Well, we know that plant architecture may be influenced by the height of the plant, and the spatial distribution of leaf may be altered if a plant is shorter than in another one. We know that breeding progress has increased grain yield partially by obtaining maize with more erectified leaf habits. So we are going to take in account now the carbon balance model, where grain yield is a function of total biomass, and total biomass is a function of par-intercepted, which depend on solar radiation and the capacity of the canopy to capture radiation. So this is the relationship among this variable, leaf area index determined par interception. The relationship between total biomass and par intercepted is radiation use efficiency, and the proportion of total biomass that is set in kernels the name is the Harbeck index, or the efficiency is Harbeck index. So what breeding did with these factors? Well, in this experiment, you can see the light attenuation coefficient, that it means the penetration of light within the canopy was more deeper, because erectophyte leaf habits determine that with the same leaf area, less leaf is intercepted, particularly at the ear leaf strata. With this change, radiation use efficiency of the modern hybrid had increased, changing the relationship between biomass and par intercepted, and as higher the radiation use efficiency was obtained around silking, a higher kernel setting was obtained. So with a similar biomass, modern hybrids have higher grain yield than older hybrids due to a change in the Harbeck index. That's what it was done by breeding. Now we have we try to find in this model what happened with brachytic hybrid versus the same genetic background but without the mutation. Okay. Well, the other example, it was in wheat, where the short stature plants given by the addition of the dwarf genes can reduce plant height, but in contrast that I mentioned for maize, it has increased light interception, but particularly it has increased biomass partitioning to the spike around flowering, so it has increased grain yield. So with both models that in part are very different, we wonder what happened with brachytic genes in maize. So the objective of the work was to characterize grain yield determination based on the carbon balance model, comparing the same hybrid with the mutation or without the mutation. Isohybrid that were provided by Bayer. I am going to tell you the difference between them. Well, for testing this, we had to measure leaf area development of each one of the pair, the contrasting hybrids, the evolution of par interception, the amount of par intercept along the cycle, radiation use efficiency, total biomass production, grain yield, and Harbeck index. But also, we are very interested in to know what happened in grain yield components, kernel number and kernel weight, and mainly kernel number determination that is related to this function that I'm going to explain you later, but briefly is the relationship between kernel number per plant or kernel number per year as a function of plant growth rate around flowering, and or as a function of year growth rate around flowering, considering a possibly change in biomass partitioning around flowering to the years. Okay, but I'm going to show you it later and explain in more detail of this. Well, so we are going to explain you the methodology. Bayer provides us two pairs of hybrids, the short one and the normal one. I'm going to name this short and one in two pairs, pair one and pair two. The difference between this pair and this pair is linked into the allele that had a mutation. Again, mutation and natural are not transgenic. In this case, mutation came from Mexico and this came from Europe, are different. Well, and we test both pairs at 3 plant density, a low plant density, an optimum plant density, and supraoptimal plant density at field condition without nutrient limitation and under irrigation condition. The potential flow only plant country stress was produced by increasing plant density. Okay. The experiment was conducted last season at Buenos Aires in the field of the vegetal production department at the Faculty of Agronomía. we have tested in this design, the main plots were the hybrid, the subplot were the plant population density. This is a photograph close to flowering. You can find the different colors related to plant density and also the different structure of plants. Okay, results. As was expected, plant height was reduced. Okay, this is total plant height at flowering, and this is the insertion of the ear. It's very important this point because farmers complain that if ears are close to the soil, it's very difficult to harvest them. So more or less, people say that ears would be about 50 centimeters from the soil. Okay, this is the height to the ear, and this is total height. As you can see here, in both pairs of hybrids, short phenotype was smaller than the taller one at flowering. And this effect was linked to internode elongation below ear position. This is the length of each internodes at the different plant density of the tall and the short, of the tall, of the short, of both pairs. And you can see here this is the plant density effect is lower than the mutation effect, and mainly the internal elongation is arrested below the ear position by the mutation, okay? So this effect is linked to this, and in both of them, there were significant differences between tall and short. I am only showing you the main effect, okay? If the arrow is like this, it's significant effect. If it's flat, it's no effect, okay? To easily understand the results. Well, let's start with the curve. Well, so brachytic 2 mutation reduce elongation of internodes below ear insertion in the both pair of hybrids. Okay. Okay, what happened with the carbon balance model? Now we are going to start with the relationship between grain yield and total biomass. And interestingly, in pair 1, brachytic hybrid at any density have a lower grain yield than the normal version of the soil with no mutation, but it was not detected in pair 2. No effect on grain yield. Okay? So the next point is to solve why in this case we have an effect, in this we did not have an effect, scaling up in this flow chart. So what happened with the Harvard index? Because a possibility is that a shorter plant has a higher Harvard index, like in wheat. No effect. A similar Harvard index between the tall, the short, in both pairs of hybrids. No effect on this. Obviously, if Harvard index don't change, probably we're going to change its total biomass to obtain difference or no difference in grain yield. Well, of course, was that the point? In pair 2, similar total crop biomass. In pair 1, a different total biomass, lower in the short hybrid than the tall hybrid. So here we have a difference between these pairs linked to the difference in total crop biomass. Well, now we are going to continue scaling up. To scaling up this, we have to describe what happened with leaf area development, par interception, and radiation use efficiency. Okay? Well, we start with leaf area development. This is leaf area development of the tall hybrid, the short hybrid, the different density, pair 1 and pair 2. And as you can show here, no different leaf area development. Independently of plant height, leaf area index were not affected, linked to what I mentioned before. And it is a maximum leaf area index. This is critical leaf area index, and it did not vary maximum because they have the similar leaf number, the similar area per leaf, and also they present a similar leaf senescence pattern and leaf area duration. So brachytic mutation did not affect leaf area index, only affect plant height in both pairs of hybrid, but only total crop biomass in pair 1. Well, what happened with radiation a deficiency of capture radiation interception? This is the relationship, the asymptotic relationship between par interception and leaf area index along the cycle. Tall and short, different density, pair 1, pair 2, not significant. was similar. So, despite of the different plant culture, light interception along the cycle was similar. That means that they have the similar light and a similar plant spatial distribution that we have not recorded, okay? But part interception was similar, so brachytic mutation did not affect part interception. So we are here, and we have to solve why the difference in crop biomass. We have to scale up in this. We have to not scale up. We have to see what happened with this relationship, radiation use efficiency. And obviously, radiation use efficiency was lower in the short hybrid, but not was significantly detected in this one. Okay, so the difference in total biomass and grain yield was only linked in this case with a lower radiation use efficiency. Two probabilities. This is radiation use efficiency estimated that total biomass and total part intercepted along all the cycle. Aerial biomass. One possibility, a lower shoot ratio. Other possibility, a different carbon balance within the canopy. Okay? Not tested yet. I'm not going to test the shoot ratio. And the next year, I'm going to test what happened with carbon assimilation. Okay? Well, partial conclusion of the first part of the balance model. We have the balance model here, and what we found with this model. Plant height was reduced by brachytic 2 mutation in both pairs. Leaf growth and development was not affected by brachytic 2 mutation, similar lies between brachytic and no brachytic in both pairs. Total part interception was not affected by brachytic mutation due to the similar light and possibly canopy architecture in both pairs was similar. Brachytic mutation only reduced significantly in part 1, not in part 2, at least significantly. And consequently, we only found this effect in pair 1, in the brachytic hybrid of pair 1, that was related to a lower biomass and a lower grain yield because harvest interest was not affected in both pairs by brachytic 2 mutation. We wonder if the effect detected in pair 1 in brachytic hybrid was linked to a different mutation or a different origin of the mutation that it came from Mexico. But it's only one hybrid. We could speculate that at this point. Okay? Clear to here? It's okay for you? Okay. Second part, grain yield and grain yield components. Well, we have discriminated the grain component, kernel number per square meter, kernel weight. I recently showed you an effect here and not here. So it was only linked to a lower kernel number without modifying in kernel weight. Kernel weight was not affected. The only effect that was related to grain yield was a lower kernel number per square meter, okay, independently of plant density in pair 1. So we are going to focus on kernel number and not kernel weight because it was not modified. So we can state here that brachytic 2 mutation only reduced crop grain yield in pair 1 by a lower kernel setting. And to understand kernel setting, we have to remember that kernel number per square meter is linked to crop growth around the critical period. And more or less, always we can compare different crop growth rate at different kernel numbers by different cultural practices, and the shape is similar like this. But from the works of Andrade, we always use this framework to compare water stress, plant density, nitrogen stress, different genotypes in the function between kernel number per plant and plant growth rate. Higher density determine lower plant growth rate, lower kernel set, lower density, higher kernel growth, higher kernel set, more or less. So what happened with our results? I'm going to show you now the different plant density for A16. As was expected, plant growth rate during the critical period decreased as plant density increased. But here you can see that at any plant densities, and in both pair of hybrid, plant growth rate around the critical period always differ in both pair of hybrids. Okay? Were lower. This is the partition of plant growth rate between vegetative tissues, the apical layer, subapical layer at low density, or only the apical layer at higher density. And here you can find some results, but I'm going to show better in another figures. So at this point, we can say that independently of plant density and pairs of hybrid, brachytic mutation reduce plant growth rate around the critical period. Probably linked to a reduction in radiation use efficiency detected at the canopy level in one pair, but not in the other one. Probably we have to concentrate that measurement around flowering, or estimate radiation RUE at around this period, but it was not yet recorded. Well, so what if plant population or the mutation reduce plant growth rate, it would be expected a reduction of kernel number per plant and consequently on kernel number per square meter. The reduction of kernel number per square meter was only detected in one pair of hybrid, not in the other one. So we are going to solve why in one hybrid, in one pair, kernel number was affected and why in the other was affected if both plant growth rate were reducing. What happened? It's okay? Okay. Well, you follow me, what I'm going to try to explain? Okay. So this was recorded at canopy level, kernel number decreased in this brachytic hybrid, no change in this one, but in both of them, plant growth rate was decreased in the brachytic hybrid. So now we are going to see this figure for each pair of hybrid, compare tall plant and short plant, or the normal plant and the brachytic plant. Okay? Well, this is pair one. In orange, the short, in pink, the tall hybrid. So here you can see that plant growth rate differ between both, but it's all data set, all plants, but they share the same function. So if brachytic hybrid had a lower plant growth rate at any plant density, it was reflecting a lower kernel number because they share the same function. So reproductive efficiency of the plants were not affected by brachytic mutation, was the same. They share the same function, okay? So it explains well that lower plant grade, lower kernel number in pair one. But what happened in pair two? We found two functions, different functions. Brachytic hybrid had lower plant growth rate, but higher kernel setting at similar plant growth rate. Brachytic mutation has increased kernel set efficiency. So if you have a different plant growth rate, we can write to the similar kernel number. That's the reason because we don't detect it here, or did not detect here, an effect of plant growth rate reflected on kernel number. They differ, the function, the fitted function between them are different, higher kernel setting the brachytic hybrid than in the normal one. Well, the last point is to solve why it happened. Because it is kernel number per plant and it's plant growth rate. But if we put here kernel number and year growth rate, is the similar, it determines these differences, and not in that case. And also, I'm going to show you also which is the biomass partitioning around flowering to the ears to compare if this has a higher partition to the ear or if it has a higher kernel set efficiency of the ear. Two possibilities that arrive to the same result. Yes? Well, the first one is biomass partitioning. In this paper, we show ear growth rate around flowering, plant growth rate around flowering, and the different position of the point or the difference between two genotypes is referring a different biomass partitioning. Higher here than here, okay? So, what happened with pair one? Well, this is ear growth rate, critical period, plant growth rate. This is the subapical ear, but we are going to concentrate in this one. And here you can see that brachytic hybrid and tall hybrid share the same function. It had a similar biomass partitioning along the range of plant growth rate, okay? we don't have two functions. Okay, what happened with pair two? Opa. Target biomass partition into the year. Brachytic hybrid of pair two have a higher biomass partitioning around flower to the year in comparison with this one. Okay, so one question of the higher kernel setting of this higher kernel setting may be the higher biomass partition into the year, because with a similar plant growth rate, this has a higher partition into the year. And the other question is if per each growth of the year has different or similar kernel setting. Well, was the same. Okay, was the same. The kernel setting efficiency of the year were similar between brachytic hybrid and normal hybrid, brachytic hybrid and normal hybrid. So brachytic mutation did not affect reproductive efficiency of apical year in both hybrid, but in pair two, the higher kernel number per unit of plant growth rate around flowering of the brachytic hybrid was related to its higher biomass partition into the year and not to the higher different kernel setting of the year. So if brachytic mutation reduced plant growth rate and biomass partition to the year increased, this was the reason that brachytic 2 mutation has similar kernel number. Okay? Okay. So to take home message and then question, all of the questions you have. First, related to carbon balance, what we detect? We detect only an effect of brachytic mutation on reducing use efficiency that was significant in pair 1, but not in pair 2 at the canopy level, when we all estimate total biomass and total parent perception as a ratio. And consequently, grain yield of pair 1 was reduced by this effect of reducing use efficiency, obviously total biomass, because harvest index was not affected. When we try to understand what happened at plant level, plant growth rates of both pairs of hybrid differ, probably due to also in pair 2 a lower radiation use efficiency around flowering, but not measured. But pair 2 have a higher biomass partitioning to the year, counterbalanced the lower plant growth rate, and reproductive efficiency was similar between them. So part 1 have lower plant growth rate, similar biomass partitioning, lower year growth rate, similar reproductive efficiency, lower kernel number, similar kernel weight, lower plant grain yield. Okay, in pair 1, not in pair 2. That's the summary of the result at the moment. Well, also he was bad animated, this one. So if we take in account this message, no great benefits, biological benefits were recorded by brachytic 2 mutation in pair 2, was the same, grain yield was the same, but also we detect a penalty on pair 1. Probably it was related to the different alleles that have the isolines. But more pair hybrid would be tested to test this hypothesis. Some future studies. Well, in 2 months, we are going to start with the second season of field experiments. Yes, with the same methodology, also adding N stress in the experiment, at least in 1 density. And we are going to focus more detailedly in RUE around flowering, analyzing the light attenuation and leaf strata, nitrogen distribution, and also photosynthesis and net carbon assimilation above the ear, around the ear, and below the ear around flowering. And with Bayer, we were talking with Bayer to explore a wide range of environment with a wider number of pair of hybrids, testing not only at higher condition or high yield condition, but also a more restrictive condition to test what happened with biological grain yield and harvestable grain yield. So, well, thank you very much for your attention. Suggestion, question, funding that is in no clear see by because it's here aquí, pero well, this we are. That was the occasion when we were advised with the presentation last month, and these are the breeder of Bayer that is working with us, and this is the team of maize that is working together with this project. Well, thank you very much. Well, question.
Okay, yeah.
Welcome.
We have some time for questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we can also take, if you have any questions on the Zoom. And maybe I will start. I mean,
Yes.
super clear, at least to me.
I hope.
I mean, at least, when you think about the year growth rate
Yes.
and the partitioning,
Yes.
is a hypothesis connected a little bit with the nitrogen? That's why you are thinking on linking this to nitrogen?
In some cases, we have detected that nitrogen has an effect, and also nitrogen distribution may vary between, promoted by light attenuation. So they are linked, and we are going to plan to measure exactly like this, something like this. Probably is related to that, because a closer canopy has a bad distribution of light and nitrogen.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And nitrogen is more related to red par red ratio than like the par. So we have to measure this in this experiment. This was the thesis of this student, the undergraduate thesis of them, and he is going to start his doctoral study, continue with this line.
Excellent.
So yeah, nice presentation. Very
Thank
clear.
you. Thank you.
And you are kind of
I consider it.
wiping out the myth of yield benefits, right? Because that's what the company is claiming, that short corn is bringing yield benefit.
In
That's
Argentina?
what at least here we are listening that short corn
Yes.
is bringing yield benefit.
Yes.
Maybe that could be under dryland conditions. You tested
Yes.
this on irrigation
Yes.
without
Yes.
irrigation.
Yes.
And I was thinking you were checking the partitioning between the components.
Yes.
But have you checked the partitioning between vegetative and
Yes, also we have tested also, and it's the same. The trend is the same.
It's the same.
Yes, it's the same. It's the same. But it's true what you say. But the other point is that in Argentina they are pre-commercial hybrid, not commercial hybrid. I was talking about Martin, Julian, and also the commercial person that is in Bayer. They think that probably they are going to share or to obtain the commercial hybrid with the focus in Córdoba and the west of Buenos Aires province, where is higher the probability to have a storm and wind and to produce top lodging and damage of the stems. We don't know the hybrid that they give us prior to the experiment, and we were happy that when we sit down with breeders, they say yes, pair one. We found that pair one has a penalty on grain yield. So, well, probably link it to the reducer rue. Probably the carbon goes to the roots. I don't know, but and it's an advantage in more restrictive environment. I don't know.
Okay.
Probably, don't know.
And one more, if I can.
Yes.
Related to the nitrogen response, now you're also thinking on response to late nitrogen, because that's one of the benefits that they also claim. That with a short corn you have,
Yes.
with
The other position of the hybrid is to make a nitrogen application and different phytosanitary fungi, yes, later in the cycle, because the reducer is plant structure. Yes.
Yeah.
A question from the chat from Ezequiel Bigaton. He says, great presentation, Gustavo. I agree. Do you know how the row spacing could affect the yield of the short hybrids? For example, 52 versus...
Yes. When we start, yes. Thank you, Ezequiel, for your question. When you start with the study, I had some doubts about what happened on plant spatial arrangement, because I think, well, it's a short plant. Probably it has lower leaf area per plant, but was not the case. And probably it has a different effect or different response to plant density or plant spatial arrangement. Here we don't find, I don't know if these were sown at 50 centimeter row width. But yes, I don't know exactly. Probably, yeah, I'm thinking now in this moment. When we did my doctoral studies, I found that row spacing changed elongation of roots. With closer plant, have more promotion from stem elongation. So advantages of this technology may be higher when you have wide rows in terms of stem lodging, okay?
Great. And then I have a second question from Lucas. He said, great talk, Gustavo. I have a question about the maturities of the two pairs of hybrids. I wanted to ask if the two hybrids had similar maturity or not. Which were the maturities?
I don't remember maturity, but the cycle were very similar within pairs and among pairs of hybrids. Very similar the cycle. Yeah, yes, similar, very similar.
Yeah. There is something, I mean, I can add just an idea for.
Yes.
When we're looking at one of the big major changes that you look at maize improvement is the nitrogen conditional flowering. And mainly specifically the amount of the plant or the ability of that plant to accumulate and the reservoir of nitrogen in the lower part of the plant.
Yes.
So there is a study looking at the historical hybrids from 1920s to that shows that the specific leaf nitrogen on the lower part of the canopy went up. Why? Because you show the changes on the angle of the leaves, you show the changes on the architecture. And some of these changes on nitrogen reservoir are what now there are some claims of the connection of the ability of the plant to reduce that initial abortion.
Yes, probably. Probably. Yes. I'm going to consider it in measurements. Yes.
Just thinking about that if you have more light getting to the lower part of the canopy, most likely what you are doing without unintentionally, you are basically increasing the nitrogen concentration.
Well, hey, we can test it.
So I think that
you have to sample a flower in the different parts of the plant and measure nitrogen. Yes, of course. Thank you very much.
Yeah, related with that, the leaf angle of the
we did not measure. No, we did the first year. No.
The lower radiation insufficient could be.
Yes, of course.
Lower.
Of course.
Angle.
Yes, of course. Of course. Yes. Yeah, we had to test it. Yes.
And you see kind of a trend of going now with the intersection with high density. So that could be the leaf angle.
Yes. Yes.
You mentioned in the beginning of the presentation the height of the insertion. And since your study was with no water or nutrient limitation, have you guys tested some like treatments with water stress, maybe nutrient stress, to maybe if it has
in the future? Yes. That is but okay, it's okay. Like the question, we have the idea that first you have to test at potential conditions to describe which is the main change that was promoted by a factor. In this case, brachytic mutation. So we can found that very important radiation use efficiency, and it's very important the difference between them biomass partitioning to the year. So we can begin to speculate. What if you have a higher stress condition, probably going to affect leaf expansion, but also radiation use efficiency later. Or for example, if the plant is growing at a lower rate, biomass partitioning is going to change because here, this is not a line between both variables. It could decrease. Okay. So this advantage that is opening here, it will begin to reduce. Under more stressful condition, probably this effect is not. Obviously, you have to test it in a future experiment or another student. Okay. But the other point related to that is linked to what I say that I always talk with buyers that they have the capacity to make a net of experiment at different conditions that all measurement, simple measure to explore what happens if you are in a more restrictive environment, a medium environment, or a high yield environment. Okay?
So I have two more questions
here.
One is from Juan Rey. He says, you mentioned about the different origins of
players.
Are both the same allele?
I'm not a full, I'm not a genetic specialist by then. Now, I asked, today I asked to Juan Ignacio Cañola, that is with us in this experiment, and he told me that one of them came from Mexico, another from Europe, and they have the same, the mutation have the same response. It acts on the transport of auxin from the apex to the base of the plant. That was the reason, because as it declined the transport, finally the bottom of the plant has no response and is shorter. But I don't know if it's exactly the same allele. Probably yes, no, I don't know. I'm going to see. If not, we can ask to another person and answer that question.
Great. So in the meantime, I will
Yes.
jump to the second one.
Yes.
It is from Jomar Coraza.
Yes.
It says, representation, Gustavo, do you have any results about the water use efficiency between tall and short corn?
Not yet. No, not yet. Not yet.
That was a short.
Yeah. Why only focus on radiation use efficiency later, probably in this. I don't know if the same allele. This is the cross, and with this, but it's the same, but I don't know if it's different. I don't know. The line and with the mutation, I don't know. Well, I can ask to Bayer if they know, because they have in these cases, this is a natural mutation that affects auxin hormone. The transgenic mutation that is available affects gibberellinas, no auxin, but we don't have this. Okay.
Oh, Gustavo, may I ask a question with you have data with second year?
No, we are going to have.
Okay.
Not some yet.
No, okay.
In 2 months, we are going to start the experiment. Okay? Next year. At Guelph, I'm going to tell you. Yes.
So very nice. I was thinking also in the light extinction coefficient.
Yes.
Can you show the figure, sorry, that shows internal position and length?
Yes.
Because it looks like the top, like above the ear.
Yeah, yes.
It's almost like a normal plant.
Normal plant, yes.
Okay, and then, okay, so like the first part of, I don't know about the leaf angles, right?
No.
But if it was the same, the first part of the, so like.
Yeah, light penetration up to the ear would be the same.
Yeah, so like
Yes.
the first part of the light extinction coefficient.
No, you are right what they're
would
thinking
be the
about.
same.
But I don't measure leaf angle, so
Yeah.
and we can measure light penetration, but results are not very clear. We have a lot of noise. We have to perform better this year. Because only you have to measure is line is interception of flowering below the ear, and that's all. But we have some problem with that measurement. Okay?
Yeah.
But yes, probably, I don't know.
I have another
Yes.
question from Richard. He says, are there other isogenic available?
Are they?
Or any other hybrid
Isogenic lines available?
or any other comparison pairs?
No, I only have this one.
Yeah, but do you?
But
Maybe the company has.
no, yes, the company have a lot of isogenic hybrid. Yes.
That was the question.
Okay.
So, great presentation, Gustavo. As a summary, in your opinion,
Yes.
what are the most important advantages in use those calories for the farmer, for example?
For me, is true that I say. I have a stable grain yield. In some places that the stem logic is a problem. And the other one is related to a technological advantage. You can put fertilizer later or sun control from disease later in the cycle. There is enough. We did not find with two set of hybrid any advantage in terms of grain yield. Also a penalty. Okay.
Right. Thank you.
And if we don't have any other questions, we will thank Gustavo, and he's around. So if you want to stay asking any questions, feel free to do that.
Okay. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks.